Hello everybody, I am back with another video. As promised, my previous quick update video, this video is actually going to be my top 20 games this generation. Keep in mind that this is my list. This is by no means the definitive 20 games this generation, but just my favorite 20 experiences that I played, this past generation. There are a lot of games to be played, many of which I still have not even played, so just keep that in mind. If you don't see some of your favorite games, let me know in the comment section below what those games are, maybe what your top 20 is. Feel free to do a video response because this is actually a response to my good friend Scott Ultimate Floyd. I'll definitely put a link to his channel in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started. The first game on my list probably is not going to make anyone else's list, and that is Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 on the Xbox 360. This was also released on the PC. It is a real-time strategy game in the vein of Age of Empires, Total War, maybe even Halo Wars that was released on the Xbox 360. That kind of thing, but with Lord of the Rings characters. It is really, really fun, you guys. One of the main things I like most about this game is the skirmish mode. It's completely customizable, so you can just go into Helm's Deep, you can play as the elves, have a whole bunch of archers, and just basically replay the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's just really so much fun. It offers a good and evil campaign, so you can kind of see how it would play out if, Sauron took over and got the ring back and basically killed off the Fellowship and stuff like that. And then you can also, of course, play as the good campaign where the ring is actually destroyed and everything. So it's just really, really a lot of fun. It's definitely superior to the first game on the PC, but if you can get the first one, it's actually a lot of fun too. But this game is just really, really great, and surprisingly controls really well. You would think that real-time strategy game would be really difficult to control with, a console controller, but it actually does work really well, and I think this is definitely one of the must-play games, especially if you're a Lord of the Rings fan. But if you're a fan of real-time strategy games, definitely don't pass this one up. It's really, really fun. The next one is the only Grand Theft Auto game you're going to see in this video, and that is Chinatown Wars. Really a lot of fun, you guys. I never thought I'd enjoy a Grand Theft Auto game that went back to the roots of Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, where it's actually a bird's eye view of your character. In this game, you're playing as Hung Lee, and you basically have to try and take over the Triad gang, or you want to gain all of the power of the Triads in Chinatown. And it's just a really, really fun and enjoyable game. Driving is actually really well done, and what I love about this game is that when you're being chased by the cops, instead of having to completely lose them, it's based on running their cars off the road, and the number of cars that you kind of destroy takes off your wanted level stars. It's really interesting, and also makes great use of the touchscreen because as you hotwire cars or pick locks to get into the car, you have to use the touchscreen to undo screws and cut wires and stuff like that. It's really a lot of fun, and a great campaign, fun story. You really can't go wrong. Definitely makes my top 20 at number 19. Number 18 is a series that took forever for me to actually get into, and this actually isn't even the first entry in the series, but that is Professor Layton and the Unwound Future. I have since gone back and played Curious Village. I still need to play some of the other entries, but this one really stands out the most to me because of the music, the story, and the cutscenes, and everything is just so well done. It really is just a terrific game, and if you have not played any of the Professor Layton games, certainly start playing them sooner rather than later because you really cannot go wrong with these puzzles. They're just so addicting and so fun, and some of them are a little bit frustrating. You can't figure them out, but you can use these little hint coins to help you figure out how to solve each of the puzzles. But it's really the story that's the driving factor in these games. It's just so compelling, and the characters are so likable that you really want to keep playing the games. So, and like I said, the music is very standout. If you can get the original soundtracks to these, I'd really like to know. So if you guys are aware, let me know because the soundtracks are just phenomenal. But Unwound Future certainly makes my top 20 at number 18. Number 17 is an indie game actually, and that is Limbo. Of course, I have the triple pack here, but Limbo is the one that makes my list because while it's very, very short, I don't think you can judge a game by its length or the amount of things that it has in the game. And what's also interesting is that it's really basically silent for the entire game. It's really the atmosphere and just the eeriness of the entire game. Just the artwork and the atmosphere, everything is just so eerie and just reminds you of just an old like horror movie or something, like a black and white horror movie. It's really interesting, and a really kind of dark and twisted story, so to speak. But you basically play as this little boy, and you're just traversing this side-scrolling 2D platforming world that's just very dark, black and white, with all these black shapes and creatures trying to attack you and keep you from getting to the end of the game. But it's puzzle platformer, really interesting, and definitely worth checking out if you haven't. I'm sure you can get it on Steam now, and of course Xbox Arcade, and I believe it's even on PSN now. But definitely makes my top 20. Really, really fun game. This next one was my first entry into the Castlevania series, and that is Portrait of Ruin. Still to this day remains my favorite of the 3DS entries, and quite honestly, my favorite Castlevania game because I haven't played Symphony of the Night. But this game was so interesting because it has two playable characters, Jonathan and Charlotte, and you're basically going through the castle, and you go into these different portraits, believe it or not, and they take you into these different worlds. So think like Super Mario 64, but, you're going into these worlds and just killing off vampires and monsters and zombies and all these different things. And the two playable characters can be interchanged at any time just with the click of a button. And they both have unique weapons, and they also have combo attacks and things like that. So it's really, really interesting mechanic how they kind of do that. Punishing boss battles, as all the Castlevania games have, and really, really great, memorable music as well. So if you haven't played this, definitely check it out. Dawn of Sorrow and Order of Ecclesia are also worth picking up as well. The next game made most people's top 10 games of last year. Some people, it was their favorite game last year, and that is Telltale's The Walking Dead. Of course, Season 2 is getting ready to come out here at the end of the year, I believe, if not early next year. But this game really just really pulled at your heartstrings more than any other game I played this generation. Really gave you a lot of interesting choices to make as to how the game was going to play out. And I thought that was really cool. I'd never really played a game like that before. Really takes you back to those point-and-click adventure days, and really just gives you control of the outcome of the entire game, which is really interesting. And one of the other cool things that I liked about it was how at the end of each episode, there were 5 episodes in total, it compared your choices with your friends on Xbox Live, or PSN, or Steam, or however you played the game, which was really cool as well. But really the characters in this game were really just drove the game home. Clementine and Lee, their bond in the game as the game progressed was just, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It was just very gripping, and towards the end of the game, just some of the decisions that you have to make, like I said, it pulled at your heartstrings more than any other game this generation, and was just really unique. And the art style in and of itself is, worth praising. So if you've not played this, definitely check it out. The next game we have here is Tales of Vesperia at number 14. It really hit on all points in an RPG that I look for, and that's the battle system. In the Tales of games, you'll know that you're in this little arena, and it's a real-time battle system. Really, really interesting. And then the characters in the story were just phenomenal. Rapide is a dog who smokes a pipe. Yuri is one of the greatest protagonists in an RPG I've ever played. And some of the other characters that you meet as you progress through the game are just so memorable and so likable that it truly is just an unforgettable RPG this generation. And lastly, the music. While it's nothing spectacular, it didn't really remind me of a Final Fantasy game or anything like that, it definitely is memorable, and some of the tunes and like the towns that you visit are just really just stuck in my mind. So it's a great RPG from this generation, and better to get it now sooner than later because the Tales of games typically retain their value. So definitely don't overlook Tales of Vesperia if you're really into JRPGs. Perhaps the biggest blockbuster title on my top 20 games is Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. I probably would have picked Uncharted 3 for the multiplayer because I played that a ton, but the story in Uncharted 2 is really second to none. I felt that it was the perfect mix of just over-the-top moments while also kind of still retaining that Indiana Jones Tomb Raider feel of puzzle solving and going through these different ruins and stuff like that. It didn't feel so much like a Call of Duty game like the third one did, but really just crazy set pieces in this. Really, I don't want to say epic, but really that's really the only word that I can think of to capture some of the moments in this game, like especially that opening sequence of events that's kind of depicted here on the front cover, in that train in the snowy mountains. It's really just crazy. But Nathan Drake's just such an interesting character, and recently getting into Firefly, the TV series, and seeing Nathan Fillion, it's just like, why have they not made a movie yet with Nathan Fillion playing Nathan Drake? I just think it'd be so perfect, but that's a story for another time. Really great game, a lot of fun, and I wish 3 would have been more like 2, but hey, what can you do? Now, it wouldn't be a top 20 games on my channel if you didn't see a Kingdom Hearts game, and that's why Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep certainly is number 12 on my list. I thought it was a great entry into the series. While, of course, Sora is not the main protagonist in this game, there are 3 different main playable characters, Terra, Ventus, and Aqua, and I thought each of the stories was really interesting and added a lot to the Kingdom Hearts fiction, while some of it didn't really make sense to me because the Kingdom Hearts story is just so insane. I don't even know what the heck's going on half the time. But it's really just the Disney worlds and the mix of Final Fantasy characters that keep me coming back to play these games. They're just so much fun. And this one certainly doesn't disappoint, especially with 3 playable campaigns. So if you haven't played Birth by Sleep, you might as well just wait because the 2.5 HD collection's coming out later next year, which will have Kingdom Hearts 2 and Birth by Sleep on that disc to play on the PlayStation 3. So that'll probably be the definitive way to play that game. But if you can't wait and you're a Kingdom Hearts fanboy like myself, you might want to pick it up on the PSP because it's a really, really great game. And the last game I'm going to talk about in this video is not Skyrim, surprisingly. It is the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. Yes, I actually had more fun playing this game than I did Skyrim. Probably because I waited until Skyrim was released to actually play Oblivion, and I played Skyrim right after that. So I sunk about 40 hours into Oblivion, and then I only ended up playing Skyrim for like maybe 20, 25. But I loved this game so much. I don't really know what it was, but because graphically it certainly wasn't impressive at the time that I played it, and the controls were kind of clunky and just, they felt kind of loose as you flung this sword around. The dungeons and everything were just so bland and they all looked the same. I mean, really nothing about this, Skyrim is superior in every sense of the word, but I still felt that I enjoyed Oblivion more. I don't really know what it was, but I don't know, I just had more fun playing this game than I did Skyrim for whatever reason. So, that's enough rambling about that, but it is an action RPG. You're in first person. I don't really know how else to explain it. If you've played Fallout 3, similar to that, but with like Lord of the Rings kind of like characters. It's like medieval times kind of thing. So this is kind of my favorite setting for an RPG, and I think just Oblivion does it so perfectly. And Skyrim did it well too. I'm not saying I don't like Skyrim, but for me personally, Oblivion takes the cake in the Elder Scrolls series. So that is number 11 on my list. Alright guys, so that's 20 through 11. I'll be releasing 10 through 1 later on. Let me know what your guys' top 20 games are in the comment section below. Let me know if you kind of disagree or agree with some of the titles that I had chosen here. And if you haven't played any of these games, let me know. And definitely take this chance or this opportunity to play some of those games because they made my top 20 list for a reason. So definitely check them out if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, you guys.